Good morning, and welcome to another inspiring episode of the Good Morning Minute, where we start the day with purpose, passion, and a little bit of power. I'm your host, Angelina Mojica, and today's conversation is part of a special series in partnership with the Empower Her Steps virtual conference, a movement rooted in helping women heal, rise, and walk boldly into the life God has designed for them. Our mission is simple but powerful, empowering life purpose, because we believe that when a woman finds clarity in her calling, everything changes for her, her family, and community. So grab your cup of coffee, friends, take a deep breath, and get ready to be uplifted as we dive into real stories, honest lessons, and steps towards purpose with our incredible guest. And our guest today is Anna. Anna, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And so, Anna, I know I got to read a little bit about you through your bio, but why don't you take some time and introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. So my name is Anna Keibler. I'm from Indiana, a small town of about 800, and I am a technical writer by trade. I studied natural resources in school. I have worked with youth for about 10 years in the capacity of teaching abroad to working in an alternative school.
Mhm.
And I'm really passionate about living life to the fullest.
Wonderful. Well, I definitely want to get into your story, but before so, let's start with just a fun little light icebreaker question. And so, my question to you is, are you more of a sunrise or sunset person?
Definitely sunset. My father and I both really thrive at night, and if it were up to me, I think I would go to bed around 2 a.m. and wake up around 11 a.m.
That's so me. I like to sleep. I really do. But I do feel more energized at night. I wish the nights were longer, days were shorter. But hey, I work with what I got. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the conversation. So I'm going to ask you, Anna, what was the defining moment of pain or challenge in your life, and how did it impact you?
So when I was in my early 20s, I lived in China, and I met this man who was a yak herder on the Qinghai Tibetan Plateau. And we met each other online and started dating long distance, ended up getting together in real life, and I was completely in love.
Mhm.
Found out I was pregnant a couple months into our relationship, and he was not too excited about it and wanted me to abort the pregnancy. I didn't want to do that. I decided to just go home, but there were some loose ends I needed to tie up before that could happen. And I intended to go out to where he lived, to his village, and talk to his parents and see if they wanted to have anything to do with the baby. But his brothers and sisters kind of stopped me before I could do that, and they took me to their herding tent out in the mountains, where we waited for my boyfriend, whose name was Alamu.
Mhm.
Well, Alamu got me alone, got me isolated. I had no phone, no way to contact friends or family. And he told me, honey, we all have to make sacrifices, and I love you, and I just want to be with you, but my parents would never accept this baby, and we can't have a life together. And it would just cause so much harm. And will you please just make this one sacrifice for us, for our family? And I took some time and thought about it, and he encouraged me more. And I talked to his brothers and sisters, and they believed him. So I went through with it. At 16 weeks, I decided that I would go through with the abortion.
Mhm.
Immediately afterwards, he told me that he was actually married with children,
Wow.
and he was conning me the whole time. He had conned me out of about 50,000 Chinese dollars, and he would never let me have his child no matter what. So I was devastated. It was the worst betrayal that I could have imagined. And, I was blaming myself a lot. And I did have, I took some actions in there too, but he coerced me.
Mhm.
And it was painful. And I knew then I did get some revenge. But after I got my revenge, I realized that I could either darken my heart or use this as a way to express compassion and empathy for people because, you wouldn't guess that people go through these things, but it happens to all of us.
Mhm. Wow. And I just want to say, Anna, thank you for being so courageous just to share the story that you hold and being so vulnerable on the show. That's a lot. And I can just imagine knowing that. you're in love with someone, you've given all your heart, your soul, your body to them just to find out that they weren't as invested as you were, and just to have such a huge challenge in your life to address. So what was the healing journey for you and at this time?
When I started on my healing journey, I had a roommate who really caught me when I fell, who took me in, and he suggested that I start writing. Excuse me. So I started writing a little bit, and he said, write the whole story. In China, there really is no mental health care. So
Mm,
a therapist was out of the option. Um, I wrote and I got halfway through the story, and life just started picking up again, and things were moving along. And soon my roommate moved to Egypt and took his laptop with him that I was writing on, and I abandoned the project. And it sat like that, and the story just kind of sat with me, not really doing anything, up until April of last year, when I decided that I was tired of regretting never writing that story. And I spoke with my therapist, and she said, you know what, you should write it. So I started writing, and I wrote a book about it. I wrote a book in 3 weeks that tells all about how I met this person. It name drops him, it tells where he lives. I mean, it's in China, so if you want to go
mhm,
find him, you're more than welcome to. But I put that story out into the world for everybody to see, because I'm not the only one who's gone through something like this. And my
mhm,
story is unique just because it happened in China. But if I can help other people who have gone through this to say, hey, yeah, I acknowledge your story. I can hear your story. I've lived your story. You're not
mhm,
alone.
mhm.
Like, being able to do that for somebody was a big motivator. And healing others truly does help heal oneself.
Yeah. And even in the beginning, you talked about, yeah, you sought your revenge, but you also realized that you can continue to go down this path of, I'm going to say, for lack of a better word, darkness, you harden your heart, but you decided not to. What was that determining factor? Like where you just said, you know what, this is not me, or I'm not in, this is not aligned in the way I want to live my life. What was that like for you?
Well, when I came home, well, I say home, when I came back to the town that I was living in China,
Uh-huh.
there were a lot of mixed reactions between people, and I didn't tell everybody my story. I only told a couple people. So the expat community made a lot of assumptions, and
Mhm.
they were very hard towards me, except for a few people. And those were the people that I told the story to. And I found that everybody that I actually told the full story to felt nothing but empathy and compassion.
Mhm.
And that's what I needed. And I thought maybe just having that little bit of spark of empathy and compassion is enough to keep me going. And if
Mhm.
they can give that to me and help me keep going, then I need to be able to give that to others and keep them going too.
Yeah. And your story comes again because like I've had others that I've interviewed too, and the commonality between everybody is like at some point we needed a community to gather around us to say it's okay. Like we're there with you, we're walking through it with you. Because sometimes as women, especially, independent women like yourself who want to be, we don't want to face the shame and guilt because you mentioned some of the people that you spoke with weren't very accepting of, your situation. There's a lot of judgment out there for people that make mistakes for sure. But and it's hard because we want to say, well, that was a mistake that I made. Now I have shame and guilt because of it. I've been there. I definitely can identify. Uh, and so it's hard. And then you also mentioned another key important moment as well is I didn't share my story with everyone. That's like really wise because your story isn't meant for everyone. I work in
Absolutely.
I work in child welfare, and I work with moms that are struggling. And that's one thing I tell them when you're building your community, make sure that you're building the right community because when you start finding your people, not everybody deserves to know all of your stories. So don't just be out there telling everybody everything about you because there is people that will judge. There are people that will utilize that story and it almost, just to throw it right back at you to be hurtful and judgmental and all those things. So you're saying some important stuff here. Um, so you find your community, you're going through some therapy, you're writing your story, you realize that that is a key component. Finishing that story is a key component to your healing and your growing journey. So do you pick it back up? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, actually, going through this healing process opened up something for me,
Mm.
and I just started spilling out onto the page. And I wrote not only one book, but I've written three in the past year.
Wow.
My second book is short stories from China, and they're a little bit more lighthearted, but they're the funny ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then my third story is about the Monkey King, who is an anti-hero in China, kind of like our Loki or our Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all very China themed, but I've got a lot of China in me, and I have bottled it up because exploring China sometimes hurts because I can't help but think about that bad time. But there's so much good and there's so much light and stuff I want to share. And so getting that darkness away has kind of let the light filter back into me, and I'm putting it on paper.
Wonderful. Wow. And so these books and these stories and realizing that, hey, there's more to my journey in China than just this hard moment in my life. Uh, Definitely you've started to build kind of your story or your platform as you continue to grow into, the things to come. When did you start realizing that there was purpose behind the situation?
Um, I think I really felt the purpose when my therapist read my story,
Hmm.
and she said that she couldn't put it down to the point where she was up until 2 a.m. reading the book and
Wow.
was late to her class. She teaches university, and she was late to her class the next day because she couldn't get enough sleep. And I thought, really, is it that impactful? Is it that powerful? And she said, yes, this is what people need.
Hmm.
And so I thought, okay, well, this is it. This is the moment. If I publish this, then at first I thought, well, I'll just publish the story and my friends and family will read it. I thought, no, if I can publish this and one person reads it and reaches out and says something, even if they don't reach out, it'll make a world of difference. And it's happened already. The book hasn't been out too long, but I've had three people reach out to me, two people who have had similar experiences, and one person who just wanted to know more and was
Hmm.
interested in the situation and learning about the different cultures in China. And I'm happy to tell and connect and empathize. And so I feel like it's done its purpose and it's out there and it's helping.
Hmm. Beautiful. And so, how has your story shaped who you are today?
Well, it's made me a little more hesitant of a person.
Mm.
And it's made me want to listen to other people more. And I listen maybe a little bit too much because I
Mm.
welcome ideas. Not that I welcome ideas from everybody, but I will listen to everybody's idea because I don't know what you've been through, and I want to know what you've gone through to get you to that idea because I know
Mhm.
I've been through things and it's shaped how I've grown.
Mhm.
Um, but it's also made me think that perhaps the world can operate a little bit slower. We
Mhm.
can take our time, we can process things, we don't need to make hasty decisions. And
Mhm.
when people come into our lives, they may seem like great and wonderful people, and they probably are. Most people are great and wonderful, but always be slightly cautious. I trust a little bit too much, even still. I'm still too trusting. And it has gotten me in trouble since then. But then again, I don't want to lose that trust
Mhm.
because I feel like the moment that I lose that trust, my heart starts to harden again.
And you're saying something very powerful here, Anna. And I just want to recognize this because your trusting doesn't make you naive or gullible. It just, you have chosen to be vulnerable so that you can welcome relationship and not let your fear of, deception guide your relationships and hinder the ability to connect with people. That is hard because people that come from traumatic situations, it hardens your heart, it puts those walls up, you're operating in fear. And basically what you're saying in that in a relationship is, I'm not going to trust you until you prove you're trustworthy, because I was hurt by this person in my past. So I feel like you're going to do the same thing. That's called baggage. When you're carrying what you experienced in the past into your current relationships. And so this is a big moment here for those that are listening. I want you to understand that you're not even really truly connecting with the new person if you're still carrying on to what hurt you in the past. It's hindering your ability to truly connect. So I just want to encourage you in that way, Anna, because you were saying like, maybe I'm trusting too much. I think you're wise. I think there's wisdom and you've learned from your situation. I don't see that you're taking the fault of this person and putting it on somebody else and saying, until I can see with my eyes, that I can truly trust you, I'm not going to connect with you. And that's hard because we lose so many good, precious moments of learning who people are, because we're carrying that stuff. So I wanted to recognize that, and I wanted to reframe it in a sense for our listeners, that it's not being gullible at all. You're actually wise because you know what the red flags are. So as you're learning someone new, you can pick up on those red flags and you can say, okay, this is the extent of the relationship. Like, I'm not going to go beyond this barrier. This is my boundary with you. But it's not based out of fear from what happened in the
Yes.
past. Um, Wonderful. So, you're now like a published author. You've got books out there. This traumatic situation has really shaped, a new person from it for sure. What would you suggest to someone maybe that's probably in the midst of their storm, like someone that's in that in between and I don't know what to do? Um, what kind of advice would you give that person?
Writing is hard for some people, and you don't have to be perfect, but there was great release in writing down chronologically every little detail that happened that I could remember,
Mm,
because I could go through and I could pick out, oh, here's a red flag. Yeah, I missed it. Oh, and here's another one. Oh, I missed that one too. And it's little, the little things, you miss them, but over time they build this big picture. And it's just, it's reflective. You can look and see, okay, this is how and why I found myself in this situation. And once you understand that, you can understand yourself, you can forgive yourself, even though we probably don't need to forgive ourselves, right? But we have that feeling we do. And forgive yourself and acknowledge that this is something that was bigger than you.
mm,
And once you have that on paper, that's your proof right there. You have written it down, it is documented, and that is your story. And you can keep it, you can reflect on it, you could take it and burn it and send it into the ether. But once you have
mhm.
that on paper, that is yours.
Boom. Beautiful, beautiful advice there. So, Anna, what does living with purpose look like for you now?
For me, it is doing everything that I can to benefit my friends and family without pushing myself over my limit.
Mm,
And I want to be the person that actively goes out of their way to help. I will be the first person to step up and help you move. Oh, your car's broken down and it's 2 a.m. Call me. You want $500? Maybe let's talk later, you know?
I like that you're saying that because again, you're putting boundaries. You're not saying I'm a doormat. You can walk all over me. You're saying within reason, I'm here to extend my help. And you're also emphasizing the power of a no too, because if you're this yes person, then your no's then you don't know how to use the power of the word no. But if you learn how to do that, it just makes your yeses so much more meaningful when you do give them out. So I love that you're saying that. As we kind of start closing out our conversation, Anna, I do want to ask you a question of legacy and impact. If today were your last day, what would you want to be remembered for?
I think I would want to be remembered for my humor. Um, One thing, and I know it's a common trope, but my trauma has made me so much funnier. And I love getting people to smile and to laugh, and it seems to happen naturally. And if I die and they say, here's a funny story, and they all laugh, then that's perfect, wonderful. My life is complete.
Beautiful. Well, my last question as we close out this interview, Anna, is if you could leave maybe one bit of truth or a word of encouragement to someone who's still trying to figure out their life purpose, what would that be?
It doesn't have to happen right away. It's okay to take your time. I was a late learner. I didn't graduate university until after my first child was born. And I was always a smart cookie and down on myself for that. But it taught me that, I shouldn't go to college unless I was really ready, and I wasn't ready. So
Mhm.
if you're trying to figure out who you are and you're not ready, that's okay. Take some time, learn who you are, discover yourself, try a whole bunch of different things. And
Mhm.
also, the world needs more generalists. We have a lot of specialists. We have people who can do very niche things. We don't have a lot of people who can do many things. So maybe explore being a generalist in life.
Mhm. Beautiful. Well, Anna, if I had a listener out there saying, you know what, I want to learn a little bit more about Anna, or where can I find your books? How can they connect with you outside the podcast?
So the book is called A Ghost in the Middle Kingdom. It's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Ingram. You can find it on Target. And my website is annakeibler.com. You can find out more about me, about the books that I've written, the books that are in progress, and we can keep connected. Also, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, let's see, Blue Sky, Threads. If you search for Anna Keibler, I think I'm pretty much the only one out there.
Wonderful. And if you didn't catch that information, it's okay because it'll be posted on the social media post along with this interview. Well, Anna, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your heart, your story, and your light with us today. It's conversations like this that remind us that purpose isn't about perfection, it's about showing up, growing through the things that we go through, and trusting that every step matters. Here at the Good Morning Minute and through the Empower Her Steps movement, we believe every woman has a calling worth discovering and a voice worth using. So, friend, wherever you are today, remember your purpose is powerful and you're not walking alone. Until next time, keep rising, keep trusting, and keep walking boldly into the life God has designed for you. I'm Angelina Mojica, your life coach, sending you much love, much peace, many blessings.